All right, welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We're about to get things started, but before we do, I just wanted to mention this morning that yesterday the UN awarded the Prime Minister of Barbados with the highest environmental honor for her work on highlighting the threat of rising sea levels to small islands around the world. Now, you would remember that recently she would have addressed the UN, and they now award at the COP26 in Glasgow, and they now awarded her the Champion of the Earth Award. She's one of 4 people to have won it, so congratulations to Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, on her achievement. I also want to see again congratulations going out to the PDP. The preliminary results coming out of the EBC says that, you know, the results are 14-1, 14 going to the PDP and 1 going to the PNM, and you know, there's still going to be recounts of 2 seats from what I understand. The PDP has requested 1 and the PNM has also requested 1. So, you know, we look forward to seeing what comes of that. But of course, Thursday is supposed to be the swearing-in ceremony. So we're going to pay attention and see exactly how that is going to go. But this morning, we're having a chat about the human resource community championing social change. And to do that, we're going to have some members of the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago join us on set this morning to share a little bit of information about the event that they have coming up. And to do that, I want to welcome to the Now Morning Show Mr. Akeem Branford, the Public Relations Officer at the Human Resource Management Association of TNT, as well as Cavell Joseph St. Omer, the President of the Human Resource Management Association of TNT. Good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
How are you guys doing this morning?
We are great.
Yeah,
we are great. Thanks.
Sure, they're good. Are they settled?
We are.
All right, nice. Well, I want to start with you, Akeem. Tell me, what does the Human Resource Management Association do? What are you guys all about?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, we're not a new organization. We're definitely 32 years old.
Right.
So we've been around since the 80s. And what the HR Association is about is basically championing the cause and the voice of the human resource professional in Trinidad and Tobago. However, things have evolved. So over the past few years, things have definitely changed into being more of a support function for all departments in the organization.
Okay.
So basically, HERMAT marries all the departments of the organization, make sure things are harmonized together.
Is that essentially the role of human resources in general?
That's a very good question. Of course it is, right? Of course, we may not be able to make everyone happy. Happiness is relative. But definitely once you have everyone comfortable and productive, then you would have done your job as an HR professional.
Okay, so comfort and productivity is what we're aiming for in HR.
Definitely.
All right. I understand that the association recently held an AGM, and there's a new board at the helm. What are some of the plans, Prezi? What are some of the plans of the new board?
Well, you're quite right. This board came into effect on October 1st.
Right.
And this new board, of course, is fresh, energized, and revving because we recognize that HR is at the forefront of a number of issues currently, especially since we all battling this pandemic, right? So as a fresh board, we are actually revisiting our strategy. We've actually started and focused on our strategy. We've segmented our market, recognizing as professionals, people at different stages in their careers. So we do have new entrants into the field, fresh out of university with their bachelors, with their HR degrees, at entering the profession. So we are focused on how we get them to operate at the best standards, the best practice. So HERMAT, we have a partnership with SHRM, and we now certify practitioners internationally. It's an international certification that is geared towards elevating our profession, just like our project managers have the PMI. For HR, we have SHRM as an international certification, and we are the helm of that locally and regionally with the partner with SHRM. Right? So we focus on that. Then mid-career and midstream professionals now, we do have toolkits developed and geared towards them, and networking opportunities and opportunities to be mentored by senior practitioners and professionals. Our founders, I mean, when you look at the wealth of experience and the vision they had, Akeem said we're over 30 years old. When you look at Maxine Barnett, Gordon Draper, Anthony Watkins, these are some of our founders.
Right.
And we want to engage them differently going forward so that there's proper mentorship, recognizing there's a space for everyone. So not because you're at the you're more senior in the profession.
More experience.
Yes. And more experience. There's value still that can now be transferred to younger professionals.
What does it take to be a HR professional?
Well, certainly passion for people, because we are focused on people development, and you find sometimes you have practitioners who see it as a job, as some, they're not
Something
passionate,
to make money,
yes,
just to get by and make money.
Right, but we are definitely about people development and wanting to see growth and evolvement of our respective organizations, and we play a role strategically. It's not just operational and administrative, come and get your leave. And people see HR as processing your leave and all of that. No, it's a lot more. And once business decisions are being made, remember, business decisions impact people. Right. So even if a company chooses to diversify its portfolio, chooses to enter a new market, you have to develop people for that purpose, that role. And more than ever now, reskilling and retooling of the people are important, because we're seeing now the evolution of new career streams, technology is shifting. So you have to focus on developing your people for what's next.
Would you say, Cavell, that as an HR person, whichever industry or whatever job you end up working in, as in whatever company or business you end up working in, do you have to be passionate about what you guys are doing as well? So if you're working in media, you have to be passionate about media, even though you're doing HR, you have to be passionate about people.
Correct.
and the product that you're selling as well.
Correct. HR have to understand the operations of the company that they're working at. It's not just sitting in an office. So for me, I found myself personally in construction for most of my life. I was born in construction. My father is a contractor. And as a result of that, I understand engineers, I understand project managers, how they work, how they function, the environment. So you don't just come up with a hairy-fairy solution for your organization. It's because you understand the business. HR can now provide solutions that could actually work. We now have to engage the people of the organization differently to come up with business solutions. And I think HR practitioners also have to understand numbers, understanding metrics. Because if we are not business savvy, every time we now present an idea or a proposal to a board and they want to see figures, they want to see the rate of return on this.
They want to see if it's making financial sense.
Exactly.
And that's how you get turned away most of the time, because you didn't present a business case for what you're proposing. So HR practitioners have to become numbers people as well, not just all wordy.
Okay. So basically you're saying HR can run the whole company?
Yes, we can. Why not?
Definitely, I agree.
Hakeem, tell me about the event that you guys are hosting on Thursday.
Well, great. That is very important. So we have this event tomorrow evening. It's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It will be done virtually. The name of the event is On the Panel, Humat On the Panel. What we're going to do is have a discussion with the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Faris Alwari, as well as Ms. Suniti Maharaj, who is currently the head at the Lloyd Best Institute, as well as Mr. David Abdullah, because we need, of course, HR needs to engage the union accordingly.
Right.
So what we're going to do is have a discussion basically on social change. A lot is happening socially right now. So we're going to have Mr. Alwari to come in and basically have discussions from a legal perspective and bring in the government's perspective on what is happening, as well as Mrs. Maharaj will be discussing. She's more of a social advocate, champion for women rights, that type of thing. So definitely we have her to bring in her perspective. And we want to engage the union in on this, because there seems to be this ideology that, HR and IR seems to be at loggerheads, and that's not always true, right? We need to basically engineer proper change in the organization, and as such, the union has to be involved. So we're going to have a holistic discussion on that.
Traditionally, has the union been a problem when it comes to HR in terms of, I know that HR, at some point, you have to defend the business itself, right? So you have to find a balance between what the people want and what the business wants. And oftentimes, the labor union takes the side of the people without considering the business aspect of things, or at least it appears that way.
Well, problem is a big term, right? And problem is a bad term.
Challenge. Right? Is it a challenge?
I think everybody has their job. All parts of the chain, do work together towards ensuring that things actually happen. So, of course, by law, you have to engage the union. So we are bound by that.
Right.
But definitely not all environments where there's a union, it means that it's adversarial or anything like that. It doesn't always happen.
Okay. Tell me about the importance of having this conversation on social change, social issues. What does that mean, like social change? With the pandemic, what are we talking about exactly?
Well, social change has been happening for decades. It's
it
nothing
happens
new,
all the time.
right?
Yeah.
Societies evolve. And what we're seeing is ushering of a new system. You had so many revolutions in the past, industrial revolutions, the period of enlightenment. We are entering a digitized phase now, and social media is playing a major part of that, ushering into this new system, this new order. And of course, the pandemic has kind of pushed it, advanced it, you know. So social issues are filtering in the workspace. There was a time an employer would say to a worker, oh, leave your problems by the door.
Yeah. Yes.
We don't want to hear about your problems. You cannot separate that from the individual. So we now need to develop practitioners who understand social issues so that we could better effectively advise our organizations. And there are several issues besides the pandemic, which is the number one thing at the moment. And the fact is this pandemic is not going away anytime soon. Connected to that is the issue of vaccination and how you marry and manage the vaccinated and the unvaccinated population in your respective organizations. I think our practitioners need some guidance on that and get a sense of what the policy decision might be in the future from the state.
Right.
So hence, as Akeem said, the AG is on the panel, right? So therefore, that's one aspect. But there are others. There's domestic violence, and HR practitioners. I personally had to deal with domestic violence in the workspace. I have had the experience of a spouse entering into the workspace and abusing his partner, right, in the office and having to get in between it, right? And that spouse was actually an officer of the law as well too. So it's always traumatic for an organization to experience domestic violence issues, or to be aware, or to get up one morning and see that the person you sat with just yesterday is no longer with you, and it's because his spouse killed them, right? So it's how you now deal with those issues in the workspace and provide the support that your employees need, because we spend most of our productive time in the workspace. So therefore, the employer has to get a little bit more involved now in providing a supportive role. So that is where the EAP function would come in, and a whole
that's
host
where
of
I'm
other
about
things.
to go with that, because I'm wondering, you know, is EAP enough, or do HR professionals need to be also trained in social what's we looking for here? Sociology or psychology?
And that is why this conversation is so critical, because the HR community is a force for social change. We just have to see it, right? So you do have these issues that come up, not only domestic violence, you have the LGBT issues as well too, and the fact that the legal structure that we function and don't support a particular category of people. And it creates problem for us. People don't understand that. An employee were to come to you and say they want to leave this for their partner, right? Particular benefits. Should an employee die in service, there are certain benefits. How do we even recognize that when the law does not recognize it, right? So there are things in terms of gender identity and how you fill out an application form. There's a number of things that may appear to be simple but has significant impact for the person. So it's for us to understand how we navigate through that as well too. So we need to, as professionals, to understand the social issues. We've signed on as a country to several conventions, and it's for us now to assist the state with implementing those conventions. It makes no sense to sign on. We go and report to the UN every year, and then we don't have the real change happening in society. So we just want to have these kind of thought-provoking and groundbreaking conversations so we could equip our members to do better and to make better decisions.
Well, so one of the things that comes up very often in this pandemic since 2020 has been bereavement leave. And I know that people have been clamoring, saying that, you know, for example, one of the things that you mentioned just now with regards to LGBT, and people saying your partner, if a partner dies and they don't recognize that. Is there a way or a standardized way that people can treat with it, or is it that every organization can decide how they want to set up their bereavement leave, etc.?
Well, an organization, by the definition of what they define family to be, could in fact have policies that exceeds what legally exists. And you see a number of organizations, like, not to
no, don't call it. Some organizations.
Another organization, there's an organization, for example, that introduced a significant period of paternity leave, right? Recognizing that fathers need to bond with their kids as well. But in law, there's nothing called paternity leave.
I want you to make sure and ask CAG about that. Eh?
Right. So in fairness to them, they are reviewing the Maternity Protection Act. But we are saying as an association that we've gone past maternity, because it only focuses on actually giving birth, for example. But we know that there's now surrogacy. We now know that even through IVF and a whole host of things, that children enter into a family differently.
Even adoption.
And adoption. And again, the law does not recognize that. So it's for companies now to introduce adoption leave, paternity leave. You know, it's all these different things, and bereavement leave now, even with COVID. I don't think there's any practitioner out there who's not traumatized or has a member of staff traumatized because they've lost a spouse, they've lost a parent. And when you look at 3 days or 5 days leave, and the time it is now taken even to get access to the body, right, is really 3 or 5 days enough. And then it's whether or not we have the support system to deal with the psychological effect, because we knew, especially in the beginning, that you could not even say goodbye properly.
Exactly.
So that closure that was required, it no longer existed, because at the beginning of the pandemic, the state took responsibility for bearing or for dealing with the body, the deceased body. So that is also trauma. That is a lot of trauma in the workspace right now. So I think at this point in time, we're quite apt for having this conversation, and that's why HUMAT.
So tell me, how can people be a part of this conversation, Akeem?
Well, you can definitely visit us on LinkedIn at HUMAT, the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago. There you would find a link. You click on the link, and it's a very short form, and you'd be able to access the event. So this is currently free to all of our financial members, and any member of the public who wants to join in. It's just a very minimal cost. It's $150, VAT inclusive. And we probably have 1 or 2 giveaways, don't we, Cavell?
Yes, we do. So anyone who's tuning in this morning, right, we want you to hashtag NowTT to any of our social media platforms, and you'll actually get a 10% discount.
Discount on it.
5 persons across our platforms will get, no, not 5%, sorry, 10% discount.
Okay.
On registration
all 5
today.
platforms.
On all our platforms.
So you all are on LinkedIn, you're on IG, I assume?
Yes, we are.
Twitter, Facebook.
And Instagram.
That's IG?
Oh, sorry.
And we're on YouTube also.
On YouTube.
Yes.
All right, fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so and how does one become a member of HUMAT?
Well, I just want to make it clear, because we are encouraging membership at this moment and encouraging our members to renew, right? Renew their membership. So if they choose to renew today as well, too, the discount will apply to their renewal, right?
But how does one, so you have to be HR person to be a member?
No, you don't have, because again, we focus on people development, and every manager is an HR manager, right? So therefore, we encourage everyone who are interested in developing their people, who managing people, who own businesses, to become members. And we're actually now evolving as an association to encourage organizational membership as well. So in the new year, we're now going to have a category for when organization can become a member of HUMAT, and it's not just for individuals as well too. So please reach out to us, manager@humat.com if you're interested, and it's also on our social media as well to access the application form. We welcome anyone who is interested in developing people to become members of our association.
All right, and the symposium is happening tomorrow night. It's a fantastic conversation I think you want to be a part of, so you can learn a little bit more about HR and how to help navigate this new time that we are living in. So I want to thank you guys both for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us. It was a very pleasant conversation.
I agree. I firmly agree. Thank you so much, Akeem Branford, the Public Relations Officer at HUMAT, and Cavell Joseph St. Omer. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes, St. Omer.
St. Omer.
Yes.
I love she says it with an accent. I love it. She's the president of HUMAT. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up on the Now Morning Show.
Thank you.